young players adapt differently to big contracts and big signings. Chelsea, which is becoming, I think, maybe the big story in European football right now. They spent over $1 billion the last year with this new American owner who's trying to reinvent the way football clubs are built. Big, long contracts, bring the kids in, develop them. It's a big picture. You get a great coach in there. But they've been really poor. They lose again this past weekend in the Premier League. They've got 5 goals in 6 games, their worst start since 1978. It just isn't working, Craig. Is it a lack of veterans in there, do you think? I mean, right now, you look at this 11 from the weekend, Thiago Silva, Raheem Sterling. Apart from that, a bunch of kids who at this point are real no-names but cost a lot of money. I mean, that's a lot of pressure to put on a lot of very young players, isn't it?
It is a lot of pressure, and just because the price tag goes on those players doesn't necessarily mean they're at that standard, and I think that's been the problem. Recruiting for Chelsea has obviously been a massive problem because the money isn't an issue because they've got lots to spend, but how they're spending it and just throwing players at the managers, whoever that is. This time around, it's Pochettino. Now he's trying to figure all this out. They have no goal-scoring threat, and they spent over £1 billion. Mudryk has other things on his mind, mentally, physically as well. I think he's one to stick with. I think he could be the answer in the future, but I'm not sure at the moment that he is. But it's just interesting how they've gone a couple of games at home, haven't scored, and they just lack a lot of things, especially a goal threat, and that's been a massive problem. So it'll be interesting how they turn this thing around, but they'll get it right eventually. The teams with money will always be a contender, but not always a winner.
I mean, right now they're down in 14th in the table, Dubs.
Yeah.
Do you trust the process in this case? Because it's a brand new process that I love, managers or owners that come into a new league and think they can just reinvent it and they got it all figured out. If you look at social media right now, Chelsea fans are losing their you-know-what. They're not happy about this one bit. They're really upset. Do you trust the process? Is it big play here, not like something macro?
I think I do, looking at it. Do the Chelsea fans? I don't think they do. And to hear Pochettino talking about fans and people accepting that it's a project, I don't think they're on board with that. And also to hear him, his frustration with, it's Jackson, right, the number 9? Talking to him in training, pulling him aside, and maybe that sort of speaks volumes about the youth and saying, listen, you have to stop taking these cheap yellow cards. And then what does he do? He goes out, takes a cheap yellow card, so he's going to miss the next game, and that's even before, the tackle and the sending off. So I think it's about the buy-in that he's going to get from the youth. I think it'll come. And if you look at the underlying numbers, I know Michael Cox had an article that you scoffed at a little bit, but that, even though they only have the lone win, right, in the 6 games, I think that they will come into something because it looks like it'll prove to be more fruitful in terms of results. But do they have a proven goal-scoring threat? Like Craig was saying, I'm not sure that they do. So it's a bit iffy there. I don't think the fans are that patient.
Could you imagine being the owner of this club, spending £1 billion, and the fans still don't like you?
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, you don't get what you need, and that's a goal scorer. You don't do that. How can you spend $1 billion and forget to get the goal scorer?
Well, this is part of the process. Jimmy, you were about to say something, but Amy was talking about the process. Dave Starkey, one of our Footy Prime Supporters Club, said, I have not bought into this process. So what are we missing? Like, why are you buying in? Why is Amy buying in? What should they be telling Chelsea fans right now? Because with $1 billion spent, what are they doing?
Well, it's hard to win a championship with a young team. You can get them to playoffs, so if you know what I mean. But
that was subtle, Jimmy. It wasn't a York reference, though, was it?
Not at all. Okay. But look, it is a process. You're spending a lot of money on these young players, hoping that they develop and then they perform. So you could say, okay, this might be a 3-year process or 5-year process, but what if that means, let's be realistic, you're not going to get Champions League football. You're not going to be competing for the Premier League, but you're hoping that in 3 to 5 years you are. Now, in 3 to 5 years, when these players get enough experience under the belt, then if you don't get into Champions League, if you don't win a championship, that's all gone to waste now. It's all gone to waste. Now, that process with a smaller club, yeah, I can agree with that. Say, yeah, no problem. But for Chelsea to be doing this now? No. Come on. You're supposed to be competing every single year for the Premier League. You're supposed to be in the Champions League, trying to get into it every single year. Not playing this card now where we're going to develop all these young guys and we're going to have a process for the next 3 years and hopefully then we get into something.
Although, so go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think that's where the frustration lies, is that you have the ownership's vision, you have the coaching vision, you have the player vision or like the team, and then the fan base, and none of it is really aligned?
No.
So
No, you're right. You're right. I will say this though: back in the mid-90s, Alan Hansen, a famous pundit, one of the greatest Premier League players in history, once said, "You can't win anything with kids," in reference to Manchester United and the class of '92. And what happened? They won the Premier League that year, but they had some veterans in that lineup as well. Yeah, you had Beckham and Scholes and the Nevilles and Nicky Butt. Yeah, you had them, but you also had some real old campaigners, right, who taught them how to win as well. This is brand new. This 11 from the weekend, for example, right? So Axel Disasi, Malo Gusto was sent off. Silva I mentioned, legend, I get that. Levi Colwell, Casado, Conor Gallagher, Enzo Fernandez, 2 wins. 2 wins is arriving in January for Enzo with Chelsea. Mudryk, these are great young players, but where's the name value? And I know there's more to football than just name value. I understand that. Look at Brighton, for example. But these are the wrong names. You know, off the bench, Ben Chilwell, okay, a veteran, I get that. Ugo Chukwu, right, a young player. Cole Palmer is going to be really good one day. You know, Amanya Broja. This is Chelsea Football Club, right?
Yeah.
Who used to under Roman Abramovich went out each year and plucked the biggest names, who have proven themselves, and they won because of it. Now they also bled money. In fairness, right?
Yeah.
They were bleeding money under Roman Abramovich. Now in comes Todd Bowley, and he's trying to get it a bit more sustainable off the pitch financially. But on the pitch, I don't know if it is sustainable.
No, but the difference between Man United when they did it and they were playing with the younger players and the players today, these are all bought. These are bought, these players. The Man United players all came through the youth system. And they grew up together. They played together for a long time and eventually got into the first team. They knew everything about each other. These guys, they don't know each other at all. It's completely different.